Hello and welcome to today's lesson on how to in Excel. In this lesson we're going to have a look at how to format in Excel and how to add things like formulae. So let's get started. I have here a few different experiments that I'm going to do things in. We're going to start with the effective temperature and germination rate, and we're going to start by calculating the mean or the average. Now we know from maths that in order to calculate the mean, we simply add up the values and divide by the number that we have. So we can always start a formula with equals. So anytime we're putting in a formula, start with equals. Then we can say equals this plus this plus this and divide by 3. You could do that, or a quicker way to do it is to click average. Then you select the data that you want to find the average of and press enter. You could repeat this for these boxes down here. You could put in equals blah 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 blah. However, a much quicker way to do that is to copy and paste the formula. You can either copy and then paste that way, or a much quicker way is to grab the bottom right hand corner where you get an X and just pull it down. Okay, now there's this little yellow box coming up with an error. So let's look to see, let's double check our calculations. So let's make sure it's selected the right data, which it has. And does that make sense? 42, is that the average of 41, 43, 40? Yes, it is. Okay, so before you go completely trusting Excel, always use your own brain to double check those numbers and see that they make sense. If you have the 44, 43, 41 and you get 22, that doesn't make sense. Okay, so double check with a calculator these calculations. So I'm pretty sure that that's okay, so I'm going to ignore error here. You can also see that there's so many significant figures here, and I want to keep them consistent with the significant figures on this table, which are 0. So I can use this little button here to simply change the number of significant figures. I can go down or I can go up, and that's easy. Another example of another calculation you can do is something called standard deviation from the mean, and again you equals STDEV. Then you would highlight your data and enter that. Okay. Let's see what else we can do in here. Okay, here is an example. So from final thing, actually, this heading should go all the way across because it's the mean of the germination number. So I can go here and I can go merge and center. Okay, so that now covers the rest of it. If I want to make that nice and in lines, I can just click on this little button here, and if I want to make everything nice and central, I can click on these buttons here to centralize. This will go to the left, but let's keep it to the center. And then if I want to, I don't know, make this gray, I can do so there. Okay, so that's starting to look a lot neater. Now in this one here, we can't see what we have because it's blocked. So this is a very long title, and the problem with very long titles is they take up a lot of space. So if you have only a few columns, it can end up being really, really wide, which for Word is a problem because it will go off into your margins. Now there's two things that you can do. You can either use abbreviations. So instead of writing oxygen, I can put O2, for example. Or hold on, I don't want to get rid of everything. So O2, that 2 I'm going to subscript in Word. I can also go on to the next line. In Excel, the way you do that is you press Command and Shift, and it will go on to the next line like that. Okay, so that means I can keep my bars nice and narrow. And instead I'm going to use this as oxygen O2. I can also do pair. Okay. What I want to calculate, because that's not really a comparable number 5 minutes, is I want to calculate per minute. So I can stick in my equals, this divided by this, and enter. Copy and paste. Okay. Next thing that we can do is here. So for example, in this experiment, we have a side length and we want to calculate the surface area of a cube. Side length of a cube. Let's do that again. Okay, and that's in millimeters. I want to calculate the surface area. So in order to do that, I have a pre-made formula here. I'll show you how I did that. You start again with the equals. To calculate the surface area of a cube, you calculate the length, you square that. So where's my little square button? My square button is a little hat. Where is it? Here it is. To the power of 2. And I want to do that whole thing times 6 because a cube has 6 sides. So I have to put brackets. So A24, so this one here, squared, so that's length by width, and then we multiply that by 6. So the little hat means to the power of, and the little asterisk means times 150. So 5 times 5 is 25, 25 times 6 is 150, so that does make sense. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Then I can say equals this thing, where's my little hat again? Hat cubed, 125, 5 by 5 by 5. And then the surface area to volume ratio then is equal to this divided by that divided by that. And there's no units for that, and that's that. And again, I can do that. Oh, actually, I've done it the wrong way around. It's surface area divided by the volume. So it's surface area divided by the volume. Apologies. Okay. And I copied that across. Now, the advantage of doing formulae on Excel are that if you say afterwards decide to change this to, 5 was too small and I'm going to change that to 7 instead, it will update everything. So it automatically updates all your formulae. Same thing with your graphs. If you've made a graph for this and then you change your numbers here, it will update everything automatically for you, which is really nice. So if you did this by hand, you'd have to redo all your calculations, whereas Excel does them for you super, super, super quick. The final thing I want to show you is on this page here. So this is to do with solution concentration and the weight of a potato. So here I have my 3 repeats, the weight before and the weight after, the mass before, the mass after. I'm just going to delete that. So say I want to go equals my mass after, taking away this one here. And if I want to divide it by, I'm going to close the bracket. No, okay. And I want to divide it by the original. There it is there. Again, I would double check this with a calculator and I can copy and paste that, just double check. Okay, C5, this minus this over this. Now, if I do that the other way and I don't double check my calculations, this is the kind of thing that can happen. So here it's just automatically decided to take D4 minus C4. So here you would need to fix it. This is why I'm saying always double check your calculations, double check the formula entries have used the correct things.